right, we're back live again. Give you guys a few minutes. So I already smoked most of them, so I'm going to do both of them at the same time. I'll roll a joint at one, and then I'll smoke the rest in the pipe, maybe. The Blue Runts is good, man. So, you know, if you guys got something you think that's like awesome, send me an email and I might review it. Because I can smoke a lot of weed, so I could probably do like 10 of these in a day if I really tried. And I had the time. Hit the like button. Hate asking for anything, but fuck this. Internet shit. That's all they want. All right. I'm letting it air out a little bit in here, so I'm going to give it a couple minutes and let some of the smoke dissipate so I can smell everything properly again. I'm not hiring you. I'm not going to pay you to do it. You should pay me to let you tag along. One to 10, and this is with my, like, in terms of like quality of the herb and all that, it's like 8 to 9, anywhere in there easily, with my preference. And then like if that's your type of herb, it's easily a 9, you know. I wouldn't say that kind of herb is like my favorite type of stuffs, but it's great herb and it was well grown, smoked good. So that's all you can really ask for. I've been smoking a lot of this right here, which is this is Skittles cross with flavor pack number 10. There's just something about it. I don't know. Something about the flavor and the smell. But that's a whole different conversation. That and this is pretty good. This is another phenotype of the same thing. This is the number 4. And this thing. This is the animal face crossed with the Planet Purple nail. So that's, you know, and here's something that, like, I don't remember if I kept this or not, but I think we might release a cut of it if we still have it. But this is Irene Skittles. It's gotten beat up a bunch, but hold on. Irene Skittles number 7 crossed with cookies. All right, let's see. I like Blueprint. He used to run connect one of connected spots. And yeah, ton of respect for him. Let's see. Flavor pack is SoCal Pure Kush or Hollywood Pure Kush or whatever, the OG one. Cross with the Moonbow male. Yep, OG Cushman is still growing. He's going to be dropping stuff on the California rec market, I think here now or sometime soon. So go look for him, the real OG Cushman on Instagram, and track him down and get some herb for your shop. There is no Rainbow Belt 75. But there are like there's a Rainbow Belts number 20, there's a Rainbow Belts 13 that I put out. There's a Rainbow Belts number 4 I know that gets passed around. There's a couple Rainbow Belts in Canada, there's a couple Rainbow Belts in Mendo. I mean, there's a bunch of different phenos of it kind of all over. I'm just kind of spend 10 minutes, let people come in here so I can. Smells good. Yep, it's orangey. The Shug's Pure Kush smelt like Bubba. It was like a Bubba Master kind of smelling thing. It had nothing to do with OG at all. And what's funny is like I can't remember, but he didn't give that clone to anyone or maybe one or two people. Like maybe one guy in Michigan got it. But what also happened is like he sent 3 different cuts of his Shug's PK crossed with Leopard Kush and a couple other of his crosses, which he was selling on eBay at the time. And he sent them to Swerve. And I traded like some clones to Swerve, which he said all the clones died that I sent him, like Walker and Dog Shit and something else. And he sent me like all clones of Pure Kush that had come from what's his name? Suge Knight. And so, and like, if you guys want to see it, I'll even show you the thread where all this happened. I sent like the thread to Rude Boy back in the day, making a joke about it. But I received those Pure Kush clones, and it was like 6 clones that were all supposed to be the same thing. And like, I rooted them all. And as soon as they started growing, I was like, all right, these aren't the same plants. These are obviously different. And I hit Swerve up, and Swerve's like, oh, these are all the same thing. I'm like, dude, they're not. So then I hit up Suge Knight, and he's like, I knew Swerve was going to give out that shit, and after I told him not to, and then it was like blew up on a thread, and then that was like he actually wasn't Swerve back then. He was like, God, what was his handle? Mister something like that. I'd have to look it up. It's still on Icy Mag. It's just like redacted who's posted, right? Because they deleted their shit. So, anyways, a lot of the Pure Kush clones that are out there are those Shug NL Let PKs or whatever they were, right? Which were really good. I actually wish I still had one of those 3 clones. Like out of those 3 cuts, One of them was like really good. I have not tried tits, but I think I have tried like this is the shit, which is like maybe a sour cross or something. That was shit was pretty good. All right, let's see. You got 10 minutes, so I'll well, so there's another like Hollywood pure Kush that goes around that's like a shorter plant that's more I mean it's cushy, but it's not OG. It's like more hash planty almost in smell. And that's not the Hollywood pure Kush that I remember. And I think it came from Bodie, that Hollywood pure Kush. I'm not positive, or maybe it's the same as the one that Bodie uses, or I can't remember who identified it, but it's good. It makes good hybrids. It makes nice skunky hash planty hybrids, but that's not the Hollywood pure Kush that I'm familiar with from back in the day, or which was just another OG. Everyone's wife's boyfriend grows in Michigan, I think. Oh, booty line. Yeah, people like the straw nana Oishi. It's not really like up my alley, but it's got some funk on it for sure. All right, I'm gonna start rolling up the twerk quake, I think is what it is. So, you know, if you like twerking, then this is the strain for you. So I get some like, you know, like the juicy part of Great Big League Chew. I get like part of that. Um, you know, kind of like some of that skunkiness, not necessarily skunk, but some of that thick, tarry gelato 41-ish, you know, astringency, fruity astringency to it. And yeah, kind of like a great big lead chew, kind of skittly, but not super skittly, more kind of not it's not grapey, because I know people are like familiar with like all the other stuff that's called grape nowadays, and it's definitely not that. It's more like big league chew juicy, which is more desirable, more like a Concord grape and less like Robitussin. Yeah, I'll ban you if you talk about Marlon Blando terps in the chat. I'm just kidding. We don't discuss the Blando around here. Unless you're just talking about hash yield. All right, we got the Mendo Ultra again, as always. Still my favorite. In fact, I also liked this one, the Crush, whatever it was. That one works pretty good too. But I don't like the like coating on that and all that. You know, any kind of colored coating, I'm kind of not into. I got that at MJ BizCon one year just as like a because I needed a grinder. I was like, hey, let me have one of these. Which I like the way it grinds, but I don't love the anodized. Dude, Lamar, what's up with your Z grapes? I've seen and smoked on plenty of grape swishers, and I never developed a taste for them. Yeah, I don't get any bubba, and it's not juicy fruit, even though it has like a fruitiness to it. I kind of reserve the juicy fruit name for describing more sativa-y, hazy kind of smelling stuff, just because of the old juicy fruit strain. What don't you know about the anodized grinder? I don't know. I mean, basically, my point is like you see how it's got a coating, but it wears off. Well, that coating has to wear off somewhere, and it's probably in your hash. Or, I mean, in your weed. Sorry. It's not in your hash. I mean, the hemp grinder is like 80% epoxy, though, right? So, like, I don't understand how the hemp's better either. Yeah, some people describe rainbow belts as having bubblegum kind of, but more like the juicy, nice, like tropical fruit kind of part of it, not so much like your baseball card pack bubblegum smell. What else we got here? I would argue that the epoxy is probably way more dangerous because it'll actually melt in off gas at, you know, the 800 or 900 degrees, whereas like aluminum or steel doesn't melt at 8 or 900 degrees. It might off gas some, but it probably would just turn into it would just fall out with the ash, you know, as soon as it burnt past it. The cherry wouldn't last long enough on it to vaporize it, but that's just my theory. Yeah, but guaranteed smoking epoxy is way worse because it's actually going to burn at 800 degrees, 900 degrees. Six star can't melt steel beams. And even Optimus Prime can't break this shit. Djibouti Dubs. You guys remember Djibouti Dubs? Mighty Mended. Billy Mays here with another fantastic product. Yeah, I mean, no method's perfect. I'm not saying everything I'm doing is perfect. I'm just talking about, you know, we're just talking about the best way to try to do it. Typically to avoid contaminants. That's my goal. I'm sure I could be doing something wrong as well. But I agree with most people trying to limit your exposure to nasty shit. Yeah, probably the Fiskars is probably the best in a shot glass, like you're saying. It's probably the cleanest. The likelihood that you're going to have steel break off and then it off gas something dangerous, especially stainless, is probably the lowest. That'd be my guess. But I suppose you'd have to do the test. Aluminum's obviously going to be not as good as steel, I would think. All right, what else we got going here? Let's see. I mean, I'm getting like the great big league chew, slight incense, but not really. Mostly just like that gelato-y, danky kind of thing. And I don't remember what TwerkQuake is. Terp House, tell me what TwerkQuake is. Yeah, I think the blue Razz that um Terp House has is like his own pheno of something he hunted. But I think, you know, blue Razz is like one of those strain names that's fucking been used 1,000 times by people that just make seeds and don't ever run anything out. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the scissors is definitely better. It's just time consuming. Takes 5 minutes to trim it all up. Or I mean to cut it all up. There should be a Billy Mays fucking strain. Or maybe a slap chop. I think we should do slap chop first. That and ShamWow. Did you guys see that guy on what was it, Kill It Tony or whatever? I didn't see it, but I listened to the podcast and I'll take a rip of some other dry sift on camera. Give me a minute though. I prefer the slap chop though. I mean, like that was perfect for the what he got arrested for. I mean, what couldn't be more ironic, I think. Slap chop, bitch. Yeah, I get like a like a nice danky gelato 41y big league chew, almost Moombo 112. Slight skittle, but it's not skittly though, but it's like it's got some of that nice fruitiness to it. It's not necessarily great big league chew either, but it's got that darker note to it. It's it's almost kind of Moombo 112-ish a little bit. Not the same, but in the same realm. I've actually got some like AM4 dry sift, but it's so melty it just like melts through the screen. I think I'm gonna have to like put 2 screens down. Like here's the last one, and that's actually the bottom of the screen. And I've already hit this like 3 or 4 times. That was the top. So yeah, when the dry sift's too melty, it just goes straight through the screen. It's almost like you can't smoke it. You got to put it in like a dabber or whatever. But then it's like that's where the J mic comes in. But I do have 2 screens. And that'll usually keep it from going too far through. Was it named Zushi because of fish terps? Oh, I bet Mendo Purple Indica's good. Let me get a sample of that. That does sound like it would be like Great Big League Chew. Yeah, I mean, again, excellent burn on it. Still tastes like it did when I sparked it. I'm getting like a little bit more of like the mothball-y chemi kind of side of it, a little bit. But it's still mostly like that gelato-y Great Big League Chew kind of taste. Yeah, the grimace, the right phenos of that, especially if you do like F2s, super grapey stuff in there. All right, what do we got? What other questions we got here? I would pay $1 million for a clone of the Roadkill skunk with the seeds that was selected from. I'd pay $1 million for that. I'm sure you could get your money back. But I think that's about all there is left, you know. There's not much left that we're looking for other than things that haven't been made yet that you don't know exist. Skunk fart. Yeah, I mean, there's always a dozen people in the comments saying they've got it. Their buddy, it doesn't exist. I'm wrong. And it's like, I didn't say it doesn't exist. What I said is everybody says they've got it, but no one ever busts the shit out. And so, you know, can't say it exists if you can't prove it. You may or may not ever get seeds again. There's your answer. For sure. God, where was I? It was one of the like MJ BizCons or something. And who was the one guy that was like, it was after Duke Diamond, but before the recent guy. There was some guy in like Oklahoma or Missouri maybe who said he had skunk, and someone like went and or the guy sent me some herb, or someone got some herb from him at an event for me and brought it back, and like it had like oil on the inside of the bag or something, like something had been sprayed, or maybe someone showed me the bag and I was like, that is just fucked. And like, I grew up in rural Virginia, like we know about skunk piss for your boots. But don't underestimate the level of scammery people are willingly engaging in on the cannabis internet. It's straight scandalous. I grew like $1,000 worth of all the first generation of Duke Diamond stuff. And like, it's definitely what I would call skunk number one. And I grew the Schwazy. We grew what was the Virginia Beach Afghani cross? And then I grew the one that was crossed with the Chem. And then I grew one that was was it pure or it was like it was polecat. I grew that one, and I don't know. I was like expecting to get some skunk, and I got mostly like smells that range in between Dutch skunk #1 on the hashy side and UK cheese and like other variations of like oniony kind of odor, oniony, skunky, not skunk like the animal, but like skunk #1 kind of traits. That was my experience. I grew like maybe 12 packs, like 3 or 4 packs of each of those. So that was my experience. I mean, I don't, I didn't get what I was hoping for, but that doesn't mean other people didn't find what they were looking for. For sure, people are doing the dab a little skunk piss in the bag, which is just sad. It's just sad that we've got these fucking junkie type dudes existing in the weed scene because of the internet. All these dudes that are like getting gold chains on and like got their little tent and they're fucking talking about their great granddad's strain that they fucking are preserving or whatever. It's like no one would ever give them the time of day if they actually had to meet people face to face. It's just that they can find someone dumb enough on the internet to listen to them. I don't know who. There's so many of them. I'm not even talking about anyone in particular. I mean, you know who they are if you've seen them. I'm stereotyping an entire group of people in the weed scene. This is obviously not about one person because there's like 20 different people getting fucking mentioned. So, I mean, I guess it's a hustle, but I just feel bad for growers that are going to invest a lot of time in space into like believing that kind of shit and then go make a fool of themselves going to events and talking to other weed growers that are like, dude, what are you talking about? That shit's like, what kind of stories what kind of Kool-Aid you drinking? I mean, like the skunk one is probably the most heinously over abused one of all of them. There's got to be at least like 10 or 15 people in the last 20 years that have all said that they have skunk. Like everybody from guys in Europe to guys in everywhere. And people have bought obviously probably millions of dollars worth of seeds of these collectively between all of these people. And there's still not been a real skunk. So, what do you expect? Smoke's good down to the bone. I mean, that's what you're looking for. And I know he said this is fresh. So again, like I like herb fresh because it kind of the fresher it is, the better the terps are, in my opinion. And if it smokes good when it's fresh, it means it was well grown. I mean, Yumble was like an actual seed strain from Sagar Martha Seeds, I believe. and Warlock was also Sagarmartha. What have you guys been doing? Looking up old catalogs from 25 years ago? I think almost every strain is better fresh. I've never known anything that was like that much better after, like somewhere between, like from the day that you trim it, somewhere between that day and 6 weeks from then is the maximum quality window, in my opinion. And anything past that is like, I'm not into it. I think dro was just like a word for just chronic hydro. I mean, OG is probably the one that, in my mind, is it's best fresh. Like any bit of curing to it, if it's just too moist or anything, it just ruins it immediately. And it's really hard to the most awesome thing about skunk number 1, in my opinion, is just it's the resin strain. Like all the people that love washers love dry sift, making mass quantities of all that stuff, whether it's banana OG, papaya, all those strains are all skunk number 1 progeny. And that was like thanks to his work in the 80s with landrace strains to create building blocks that you could hybridize to other stuff and gain that resin content, and then continue to breed it without that. And that improved countless lines around the world. Or was it Serious Seeds with Warlock? Oh, maybe that's what it was. I thought it was Sagarmartha. Yeah, I thought Dro was short for hydro. That's all I ever saw. I only saw Super Skunk like one time. It was came from Mendo from a greenhouse, and it was like super. It had the skunk smell, but I didn't get it super fresh. But it had the skunk smell, and it had a light fruitiness to it, like Dutch skunk number 1 fruitiness, but not very much. It was mostly just the like stanky, super dank, stank through the bag. And it was really nice herb. It was super nice herb. That was probably 2003, 2004, probably. Which my guess, and I don't know this, but I'm guessing that was probably some of Francis's weed, because he was Mendo, Super Skunk. I think it's the right era. If not, and his description sounds like it exactly to me as well. But I could be wrong. Hellraiser's like OG and just super OG dominant everything. I'd love to have Francis on to chat about Super Skunk back then at some point and see what he thinks. So I think the TwerkQuake's pretty fire. Gets pretty ripped. um, it's very like it's like a gassy, if you want to use that for modern terminology, like a gassier, um, kind of grape, skittly, big league chew kind of flavor and smell. Good herb, smoke great, get you ripped. Um, I think it's excellent. And then I will smoke this blue Razz as well, which I only have like a little piece of it left. I probably should have shown a little butt of it. I didn't, or I don't think I did. That's the blue Razz, which I really get more earthiness from it than I do like a blueberry thing. I had this strain that came from like the east side, um, like North Bend area, I believe, if I remember right, or like Carnation. I'm not sure where it originally came from, but that was where I picked the clone up from. And it was called the Millies. And this was probably early 2000s. And it was a Thai North Indian Pakistani cross. That was the rumor, at least. I don't really know what it was. But it was a very unique growing plant. And it was just super earthy, um, like mushroom compost, rich forest humus soil, but super dank. Like it smelled like weed. It wasn't just like a dirty smell. It was actually like real rich and herbal. Um, and this definitely has notes of that. I'd say it's like 50% or 70% that smell, that similar smell to that. And then there is some sort of like almost like a blueberry paint smell. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's almost that like latex paint kind of smell. And that earthiness and a little bit of some sort of berry fruitiness, but a more of a freshness. Um, let's smoke a pipe load of it. And I did smoke a joint of this like the other day, a couple days ago. And it was super tasty. It was very earthy. Um, but that rich dankness and like definitely some blueberry to it, but not it wasn't overwhelmingly blueberry. But I would also comment that every time I grew anything that was like a DJ Short blueberry from him or a cross of his stuff, it was always very earthy blueberry in a different way than this is earthy, but it was more earthy as well. It wasn't like that. If you guys are familiar with the if you guys are familiar with the Oregon blueberry clone that we have down at the shop, that's much more sweet blueberry, like blueberry muffin with that uh kind of flowery kind of smell to it, doughy smell to it. Whereas this is much more earthy and kind of sharper, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I would say that in a lot of the Skittles stuff, if you make enough outcrosses, incrosses, etc., there's a lot of stuff that's more candy blueberry in that type of stuff. For sure. I would agree. Skittles, blueberry, or Skittles, gelato, Sherbanger, people like to say is blueberry as well. Um, that family of stuff also has a lot of dank, earthy, blueberry, candy blueberry, etc. phenotypes in it. But yeah, I agree. I really like the earthy blueberry phenotype or like profile. And I like that it reminds me of like that Millie strain, because I feel like some of these different profiles, they just have different potency to them. They just hit different. And there's just something enjoyable about them, especially if they translate to like a good mouth staining flavor. It doesn't need to be candy. Like I like those dark herbal dank flavors more than I like anything else, really. I mean, just like I just busted out a thing of Skittles the other day, and it's like, it's good. Don't get me wrong. Like Skittles is super tasty, but I prefer it being bred with the stuff that you can get from hybrids with it. And I also prefer like just the skunky, dank, earthy, all that kind of stuff in general as a smoke. That's why I like that Skittles flavor pack, or just the flavor pack, because it has that dank OG skunky profile to it. It's not just candy. And don't get me wrong, Skittles does candy better than any plant has done candy before. So I'm not knocking Skittles by preferring something else. It's just a matter of, the one thing I really like about cannabis is the depth of the flavor when you have that dank element to it. So that is my opinion. Some people love the straight candy. Like the flavor profile and flower that I just don't really like more than anything is that chalky fruity stuff. Like all the stuff that washes really good in general, like your papayas and your strawberry bananas, banana OG, skunk number 1, white rhino. All that kind of stuff is really I just don't, there's nothing dank about it, and that's what doesn't do it for me. But this blue Razz is dank. It's got that like dank, earthy, musty basement kind of thing to it. But yeah, I like it. It reminds me of some old school strains that you don't really see around anymore. Yeah, banana OG is like, and I would, so like banana OG is very earthy dirt flavor, but it's not juice. It's not juicy dirt. It's not rich. It's dry and flat, and it just like makes your mouth dry and shit. Um, Whereas like this, for example, it has an earthiness to it, but it's very rich. Yeah, I grew some great white shark for a few years as well. And again, made great hash, but it wasn't the flower for me. Um Nice big colas, almost kind of auto flowered. It finished in like 50 days. Killer. Right. I like the I also kind of enjoy the smell of the like head shop smelling herbs, which is kind of that skunk family as well. But there's something about the way they smoke. Not all of them, but if it's nog champa-y enough, then I'll like it. If it starts getting real incensey, then I like it. Yeah, the catfish has some funk to it too. My buddy Eugene has like a catfish cross that he did, and it straight up smells like a dumpster fire. It's like it's so rank. It just it's pretty funny. It's like a porta potty and a dumpster had a baby. It's not skunky. It's like very putrid, kind of like how people used to describe the old Betsy. Um, that's another good example. The like baby puke or rotten diaper or whatever. Um, that was a popular profile for several years. My personal experience, and I don't have anything to verify this, but a lot of the stuff that I bought that said it was Northern Lights or Northern Lights hybrids would have those putrid, fruity, skunky, not skunky, but like pretty kind of like a really thick, fruity, putrid smell, like rotten fruit. And that was pretty common for several years. I remember I bought a Super Silver Haze clone from California in the early 2000s that was just like a super fruity, putrid smelling thing. And the Betsy and Green Crack would be a good example of that as well. The strain Dumpster, even the Shoreline, I'd put in that same family. But yeah, the earthy shit is that's a nice throwback and enjoyable. All right, I'm going to take one hash rip and then I'm going to shut this thing down. I gotta get my double screen going here. Yeah, I haven't seen peach yet that really came through in the hash, but I feel like that would be pretty cool. But I've never seen it. I've also never really seen a strawberry that I really feel like translated as well as I was hoping. I always have to convince myself that I'm kind of tasting it, not that it's overwhelmingly strawberry. You know, tell me if you have a strain that actually really tastes like a gummy peach or a strain that tastes like a juicy strawberry, not where you got to convince yourself the sweetness of it is that flavor, but where it's actually distinct, where, I haven't seen it yet. I never saw a good Shiva skunk, but it was kind of a legendary strain from Amsterdam. There's many times where you hear from somebody that saw lots of shit back then and they'd be like, dude, do you remember the Shiva skunk? And I always have to be like, no, I did not ever see it. All right, let me get a glow stick going. See if I can get this Buble shot going. Blood strains. Let's see. If you got some strawberry or peach tasting hash that you think is the strain, hit me up and let me try it out. Buy clone. Forbidden fruit. I've never tried the hash from it, but that is is one of the more distinct ones. Yep, lemon, grape, cherry, pineapple, watermelon. Watermelon's kind of on the fence on, but yeah, the other ones for sure. But I haven't seen peaches or strawberry. I agree with you. See, it's not just me. I'm not crazy. Or maybe I am, but y'all crazy with me. I don't know what the purple UW was because I just have the purple indica clone that I have, which is like the The purple, I can't remember where I talked about that recently, but I mean, if that's what it takes to get the clone, you just got to show me samples first. All right. Oh, hold on. Oh, yeah. All right. I showed you the clear dome. Oh yeah, I got the skills on stalling out the fucking clear dome. So yeah, I mean both those herbs are great. You know, I would be more than stoked if I was purchasing this herb. So you know, shout out to Pheno Addicts for some of the breeding work, and Raw made the other one, I believe, which the strain names on these are Twerk Quake and Blue Razz, which I can't remember what the original seed strain name was. But thanks, guys. Peace.